Robbie.
Steven Brooks.
It sounded like you were going to say my last name there. I mean, I can say Robbie UFO if you want.
Yeah. Or just say UFO. I'll go as UFO now.
It feels weird. UFO.
Yeah. Let's just...
I was waiting for you to say my last name back to me, but you didn't.
I guess, yours is easier because it's just Brooks. But yeah.
Yeah, but you have an O at the end of yours. You can go, UFO.
That's true. You can stretch it out. So, like an announcer.
Anyway, hey, well, we asked you for stories, and then we discarded all of them and ended up talking about one. We'll say why when we get into it, but there's a lot that's been going on recently, and I feel like rather than get caught up on everything, there was just one thing that seemed like something that would be kind of interesting for us to talk about, and that was what's going on at Netflix. What is the problem going on with animation right now? And as animators, why are we not watching more animated stuff on Netflix? We try to get to that, and it's somewhat embarrassing, but also somewhat, I think, illuminating.
Yeah, and one of us admit to enjoying Family Guy more than the other.
That's true. I'll let you think now. Which one of us?
If you like Family Guy, you'll love Boss Baby.
If you're listening to this may be the most applicable episode of the podcast that we're going to upload back to back to back. There's just going to be a whole bunch of episodes they're going to release all at once. So I want to say welcome to episode 280 of the Rubber and the Animation Podcast. And we're calling this one Netflix and Kill. Oh, were you trying to say it with me?
Yeah.
Is that what was happening at that time?
Yeah.
Do you want to try it again?
Yeah.
Okay. Netflix and Kill. Oh, you were doing the whole thing. I was doing Netflix and Kill. I was going down. So let's do it.
Oh.
Let's do it one more time. Okay, ready? All right.
All right.
Netflix. Which one are we doing? Are we going high? Are we going low?
Okay. Oh, so we're going to keep it in that tone. All right. Like previously.
Yeah, exactly.
The Rubber Onion.
Okay. All right. Let's try it. Let's try it one more time. All right. 3, 2, 1.
I'm Don Bluth.
I'm Harry Partridge.
Hi, I'm Tom Moore, teenage superhero.
My name's Adam Phillips.
This is Robert Valley.
And I'm in no way doing a forced plug. No, sorry. I won't say that.
Go for that.
And you're listening to...
Go. 3, 2, 1,
Go.
Well, there's a full half second delay.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm going to try to answer your questions as fast as possible then.
What's 2 plus 3?
Ah! 5.
Can't blame that on the delay.
Oh, no. I gotta crack my knuckles for this one. Oh, crap. I opened my water bottle already. Never mind. We're off to an awful start. I was going to do a water bottle opening sound effect. All right. We're deleting all of this.
You know what's great? Okay, so here, let's start this. Usually when we come up to nice round numbers like this, like a 280, right? We try to do something kind of special. And this time we had asked people for news stories. So we're doing like an animation news, right? And so we went down, looked at the news. Okay, the Bob's Burgers movie. Well, that comes out in like a week and a half. Sure, we can talk about it. But as of recording this, by the time that it goes up, the movie will be out. We will watch it. We will review it. So we'll just do a review episode on Bob's Burgers. So we might mention something about it, but kind of in passing. There was, there's a trailer. There's a couple trailers in there. There's some wider discussions about CGI and 2D animation and various things like that. There's also a suggestion to talk about the union and the New Deal for Animation movement. A lot of unions popped up. Congratulations to Titmouse New York for unionizing. That was a huge achievement. First New York studio to have an animation union. It's gigantic.
Nice. And
we're going to learn a lot more about what that means for New York animation in the future. It's probably going to take them about a year or so to make the deal. And then we're going to see how the Animation Guild represents a New York company, being that they're based in the the LA area. So we're not going to talk about that exactly. We may wander around to some of these discussions. So instead of having like a traditional animation news of the week discussion, since a lot of these things were just kind of peppered in there, there was one bigger news story that I think that we're going to center all this around and then kind of jump around to other discussions as it were. That's the format basically. So the featured image may show this as the story, but we may jump around to some of these other ones just because we kind of like talked about it. So Martin Bell asks, what's going on with Netflix animation? Rob, go.
Funny thing you mentioned Netflix, because I feel like we look at every other comment the way you look through Netflix. You just keep scrolling through. I'm like, what are we going to watch? What are we going to watch? What are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? And we boiled it down to this. So Netflix, they're, I remember a long time ago, we had a conversation. It was like, I think they're going to start showing more animation on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
And then it started happening. I know the big major one was BoJack, and it was very successful. And then, so ongoing with what's the one with it's the Simpsons creators, but it's in the
which one? What are you talking about?
What's the one with the Simpsons?
Yeah, we talked about it. It's the what's it? Disillusionment. Right?
Disenchantment.
Oh my goodness!
It's just
Disenchantment. Disillusion. That's what's happening to the creators at animation. Yeah, Disenchantment.
Yeah,
your creators of The Simpsons. It's probably closer to Futurama. I think they switched. I don't think it's currently the team on The Simpsons. I think. Sure.
That's what I call it. So there was a couple of projects that were picked up. One of them being Bone, which I haven't read a lot of their comics, and by haven't mean a lot, meaning none. But I know them through like pop culture. I remember our friend Andrew Keiko did a short with them, and kind of like what it would look like if there was an animated series. And I think everyone just all agreed, that would be pretty cool to see these guys animated. And they were supposed to have a show on Netflix, and it was canned.
Sold.
I was sold.
Get it? Canceled.
Oh.
It was announced. So I guess it's dead in the water. I don't know if they're going to be looking for other things. There was also stuff like Lauren Faust's Toil and Trouble that was canceled as well. So they had made this deal also, apparently this plan to do a whole bunch of Roald Dahl animated stuff, animated series and things. And I guess the first one up was going to be the Twits. And they internally, it sounds like they had canceled, or the word is that they had canceled it, but maybe they're talking about it being a movie now instead. But all of this came after, I guess it was really before, because there had been a lot of creators who had been jumping ship recently. And then just after a lot of this stuff had come out, Netflix stock dropped like over 30%. And then Phil Rinda was let go, who was the director of creative leadership and development, I guess, for animation at Netflix. So he was let go along with like a whole bunch of staff. He was involved with Gravity Falls and Adventure Time. So he's like, knows a bit about the biz. And Netflix had decided that they were going to go all in with this animation push. And they started getting all of these creators. They had courted Jorge Gutierrez, Elizabeth Ito, who was quoted a lot in this story from The Wrap, which has the most the best information. If you just Google The Wrap and then Netflix animation, it'll probably come up with that. Craig McCracken had come over. they had this whole deal with DreamWorks Animation. Remember Guillermo del Toro's Troll Hunters, and there's a whole bunch of other animated series that were getting done from DreamWorks. So now all of these creators, they're now leaving, and they're going back to linear TV. They're going back to your Nickelodeon, your Disney. There's a lot of people that are going to Amazon, and the quote that I saw, which I think sums it up pretty well, is Rinda, when they had first started bringing in talent, said, "We want to be the home of everybody's favorite show," was the quote. Then he was let go, and I guess that there was a meeting or something. I'm not sure where this quote comes from. Reed Hastings, Netflix's co-CEO, told the animation talent, "We want to make what our audiences want to see." Those two are not the same thing. They're kind of diametrically opposed. We want this to be the home of everybody's favorite show. We want to make what our audiences want to see. They sound similar, but they're not. And I guess that just to round this out, Netflix had shared as an example of the ideal animated series for Netflix, Boss Baby.
Yeah, everyone's favorite baby.
everyone's favorite baby and everyone's favorite boss.
Now there's two in this thing, and listen, there has been kind of a war. I feel like less on Boss Baby, but more on Big Mouth.
Moron.
Yeah, I did. I didn't mean to. I mean, listen, I wasn't a fan of Big Mouth, but we complain about the animation scene a lot, Twitter wise, and a lot of people were just angry that Big Mouth was picked up for another season. As opposed to being happy that their fellow animators are still working. And there is anything animated still left on Netflix. I don't know what's going on with Inside Job, if that was picked up for anything. I haven't watched an episode. Maybe I should start watching more animation on Netflix. I watched a little bit of Cuphead.
So that's... I mean, I think we should talk about... Because, I mean, I have watched animation in other places other than Netflix. I mean, we had a whole episode talking about Undone. That was on Amazon. There's plenty of series, I think, that are elsewhere.
Yeah,
that are not on Netflix. Hulu is great. Yeah. Netflix, I think that they did pretty well with their movies. I mean, The Willoughbys, we liked that. Klaus was great. Funny enough, I never actually saw Over the Moon, but that one I think was like acquired. I'm not sure if that was in partnership. But America the Motion Picture, I watched / skipped through it. The story, it did nothing for me, but the animation was really fun to watch, and it was a technical achievement. Like those Harmony rigs must have been the most complicated, most robust rigs. And then, hey, Richard Linklater, he's back at it again with Apollo 10.5, a space age childhood. I haven't seen it, but
I haven't even heard of that one.
Everyone's favorite rotoscoping auteur, Richard Linklater, Waking Life and Scanner Darkly.
Oh, all your favorites.
All my favorites. Yeah. Anyway, so but I like space stuff. And I like the concept. I think it's cute. The idea that they made a mistake. I think the premise is there was a mistake that was made in the creation of one of these like lunar landers. And they made it too small for like an adult. And to make use of the lunar lander, they have to get a kid. And so they call it Apollo 10.5, which is in between Apollo 10 and Apollo 11. It's a cute idea. But man, I'm not a fan of his style. I'm not a fan of his movies. He's really riding on the coattails of Dazed and Confused for like ever. That's a hot take on Richard Linklater.
Yeah, I think Ralph Bakshi
I'm just not
did
thrilled.
a lot of good rotoscope.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. I actually think that some of the rotoscope that was done through his studio actually looked pretty fun. I think there's just something kind of unappealing about this style of rotoscope. But yeah, anyway. And they have like upcoming movies, but those were films. I actually looked up when we had talked about Netflix's animated plan, episode 225. That was a Hot Cocoa Show where we had talked about animation. Do you remember the stop motion animated movie that was supposed to be on Michael Jackson's Monkey?
Oh yeah,
or chimpanzee.
Bubbles?
I forget what that one was. Bubbles. Yeah, exactly. I kind of forget what happened with that. Maybe they canceled it.
I think that was right around the time where they were like, "Oh yeah, let's cancel Michael Jackson." Then The Simpsons took off their episode, and which I think is back.
Oh,
now.
Sure. So anyway, I mean, okay. Do you have anything to say, like off of what I just said, or because I just looked up a list of animated series, and I kind of just want to go through it, things that we know, and I'm almost a survey. I just want to discuss, like, did we watch it? Did we not? And why didn't we? Because I think that there's maybe something to learn here. Because I think a lot of people are like this. They know there's animation on Netflix, but why? Why is it not grabbing you? What's the thing? I think there's something to learn there.
Oh well, one of the things you didn't Love, Death and Robots, Love, Death and Robots, season 3.
Yeah,
is coming out.
Oh yeah. I didn't even finish all of season 2.
Me either.
So there's another thing. And I think that's just something about anthologies. I really like anthologies. But there is a start and stop kind of it's kind of built into an anthology. There's not it's not the thing that makes you go, I want to go on to the next one. I want to go on to the next one.
Yeah, looking at season 3, it looks cool, but I feel like my thing was the variety aspect. I feel like I don't want to sound like the rest of the animators where it's like too much 3D for my taste, but I did kind of wanted something 2D in there, or maybe even some stop motion or something.
I think the appeal of an anthology is to do like a wide variety of stuff. Yeah. And I think, to my liking, I think that there are too many. I think they do a pretty decent job of having a decent balance of things, but a lot of them do kind of lean themselves over to CG. But my opinion is that is kind of where there's some R&D that goes with producing animated shorts, where it's almost like making a music video or making they're like paying you to figure something out. It's usually a decent budget for a shorter thing, and you can think about what is one way that we could solve this problem. What's one way that we could explore making something super hyper realistic. You can do something like that in a 7-minute time frame and not commit yourself to figuring out how to do it for like a 90-minute movie or something. I think that sometimes that's what happens with animated shorts. It becomes research and development for the company a little bit, which I think that's kind of the appeal. So for some of these that are super hyper realistic, or some of them that are, we should talk about Arcane. I don't know if you watched it. I only saw clips. I haven't watched it. I never played the game. I can't even remember what can't remember what game it's based on now. So I'm so not. I did just start playing a new game on Switch. It's called Hades, and it's great. It's great fun. And it has a fun story. It's a 2D. It's a hand drawn, I would assume.
Yeah.
Animated.
So you don't hate it.
It's fun.
It.
I don't hate it. Exactly. Okay. Anyway, let's go to Big Mouth. By the way, has had 5 seasons, and I think it got renewed for a 6th, which means that I think I had read it's going to be the second series to go over 70 episodes, I think, something like that.
The second, so I'm guessing BoJack, first one.
Yes, BoJack. Yep, exactly. So Disenchantment. Okay, we watched that. We reviewed the first season. Did you watch the second season?
I watched, I think, half of the second season.
And why did you jump off? I think we both agreed that it got better as the season went on.
Yeah.
I did not go back to the second season. Why did you start watching the second season? And why'd you stop watching?
Well, I'm like this with a lot of series. A lot of times if I see a trailer for something, I'm praying that it's a movie and not a series because I hate to have to commit to something. And with animation, unfortunately, it's even worse because every time I'm scrolling through, I whistled there. I'm scrolling through Netflix. I see it there and I go, oh, wow, I should really watch it again. But I feel like it's a kind of show that I would want to have on while I'm already doing something and not as opposed to, get some chips, lay on a couch and binge watch it, And so, yeah, it's just one of those things where, like, I'll have it on, but it's nothing that I am, like, anticipating.
Okay, so the problem with you do watch animated series, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I started Cuphead.
So what makes you...
And I haven't...
Right, okay, so... You started Cuphead. You didn't finish it because the story's not great, because the animation's not.
No,
what's the thing?
I think I work differently with other people, but I start off watching something, and if I take a long break, I just keep going. Oh, I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to go back, and I never do. I do plan on.
Meanwhile, how many episodes of 30 Day Fiance have you seen?
90 Day Fiance. We're all
90
caught
day?
up.
Oh, I don't know. See, I don't see. That's how much 30 day. I guess it makes sense. 90. Hey, it's better. It's 90 days.
Yeah. I wonder though, is it because we animate and when we watch animation, we're just like, we're so sick of animation? Well, I'm just throwing me in there.
I mean, maybe. The thing, I feel like there are times when I watch something and I feel like if I've seen this kind of thing before, I don't get the same kind of, like with live action, because I don't work in it. If I see something that I've seen before, I can get maybe some sort of comfort in that. Meaning like a type of show, like, oh, this is a Breaking Bad type, or this is a, I don't know, I'm trying to think of other shows.
Yeah.
But this is a type of show. I'll watch that kind of thing. And then there's competition reality shows, right? There's like Top Chef. I'll watch Top Chef. And Barry, like I'm watching Barry. And so there's that kind of prestige show that has a bit of action, has a bit of comedy, a bit of darkness, and it's a continuing storyline. There's your Breaking Bad, like, right, in my head. Yeah, I'm thinking that kind of thing. I don't look for. I don't often go like, oh, this is a Simpsons like, right, something like that. Yeah. Remember when everything that was you running around and shooting things in a game was a Doom clone? Yeah, I guess that's what I'm talking about. Is like, is a Simpsons clone? Is it a Breaking Bad clone? Is it a Game of Thrones clone? I guess I don't really do that as much with animation.
Oh, I could also say that most of my viewing of shows is like with Leanne or something. We'll watch a show together. I feel like I watch more YouTube than I do of like series on my own, if that makes sense.
It does, because I lived with you.
Yeah.
I'm very aware of this. You would often turn on the TV and just like turn on YouTube. Yeah. And just like go scrolling through and see like what's. And
I look at one
what Vine. What my creators uploaded.
I look at one Vine compilation and it just ruined our the whole YouTube we were sharing on the TV.
So, okay, how about a series that we do watch on TV? Like, for me, Bob's Burgers. I have watched every episode of Bob's Burgers, and I watch it as it comes out. I have YouTube TV. I have it subscribed on there. So, like, when there's a new episode, I just go to my little DVR thing, whatever, and I watch it. I can fast forward through the commercials, and it's great. Do you consistently watch any animated show, any current animated show?
Nothing currently. I mean, I check in with stuff once in a while. Like, I love.
See, this is bad. See, we are both animators. We are both professional animators, and you just openly admitted that there is not a single animated show that is on now that you follow.
Oh, okay. South Park. I keep up with South Park.
South Park. That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, I watched South Park this latest season just because it was fun seeing that the episodes that would come before the episodes of the show that I was working on.
Yeah.
So I did watch the most recent season, which was very short. It was very short. It's only a few episodes, and now they're doing like a lot of movies and things. So for me, Bob's Burgers. The thing that makes me keep coming back to it is, first of all, I like the world, right? I like the I kind of like being there. I like the characters. The characters are a big deal. I like seeing them interact in a big way. That's like one of my big appeals. Is I just like watching them interact with each other. It's fun. I like seeing the kids interact with Bob. I like seeing Bob get annoyed. I like seeing Linda being overly hyper about something, overly enthusiastic about something. I like the characters, and then taking those characters and putting them in a situation that is like, oh, what's going to happen to them now, and just living in that kind of world.
Yeah.
I get the feeling like for Disenchantment, for instance, as we did bring that up, that's something that I enjoyed as you went on through the series, but through the season. But it was one of those where it was actually progressing, where she was never she wasn't in the same place. She was going to places. She was kind of like touring the world, going from one place to another place, and she was meeting new characters, new creatures, whatever. And as you learned a bit more about them, you got a bit more of an idea about when they would encounter something, the kind of reaction that they would have, or the kind of interaction they would have. But there wasn't any home base, like at least not really much in the first season. I don't know what it was in the second season. But having that home base where they come back to, like, the Bob's Burgers, the restaurant, their home, the school. These are places that they go. It's very Simpsons-like, right? Seeing them in the school, seeing them, the stuff that happens at Moe's, the stuff that happens at home. You kind of have these recurring home bases, even if it's not home, that you go back to.
Yeah.
And that's, that's fun. The adventure aspect of going from one place to another place benefits something like Over the Garden Wall, which is a miniseries, because you're going from one place to the other. I think the trekking aspect is something that is very interesting for a binge watching thing, but it didn't make me want to go back to it, because then I was like, okay, well, now we're going to another adventure. It's a different type of thing, as opposed to season 2 or season 3 of a show being just returning after a break. That's kind of what I think Bob's Burgers is for me. It's just returning after a break. Season 12, the difference between season 12 and season 11 is nothing. It's just they finished their season 11 and then they took a break, and then they come back and then they do season 12. There's not really, like, even if there is an overall arc that you can have, the thing is either a continuing storyline or something that is coming back to center, coming back to like the home base kind of thing. So there's progress, but more introducing you to the characters as opposed to physical progress. I don't know. That's total hypothesis I just came up with just now.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's weird about Bob's Burgers is, like, I feel like I like it, but I don't like it enough to keep watching. I'll have it on. I think Leanne likes it more than me, actually. And it's not that I don't like it completely, but I think for me, I could watch things that, like, I could watch the new Looney Tunes. I watched all the Smiling Friends. I remember seeing all that. I think a lot of things have to be more. I don't know. I think I want to be surprised, and I think I'm really gonna get it from the animation community now, but I like Family Guy because there is a certain thing where they throw in something kind of surprising once in a while, you know? The Simpsons don't.
So that's also a thing where that. Well, that's another Simpsons like, right? There's the settings that they're in, but they do throw them into different situations. So Futurama is another good example. You have the same settings, and the great thing about Futurama is that the spaceship is a setting, and that they go to different places. So it's like each episode you still have your familiar spots, but you're going to a new place also every episode. But it's not like a completely brand new thing. I'm thinking of something like Castlevania. I'm seeing that up now also. Castlevania is very much like each season is a mini series, and it's kind of a one and done kind of thing, and then you go to the next season, and then it's another. It's a self-contained series that does lean on other things. There's 3 seasons. But you don't have that home base kind of thing. So I guess what I'm getting at is, and I haven't thought about this all the way through, but it is something to get the conversation going. It's a podcast. We're just discussing. But the idea that what makes you come back, what makes you watch something over and over. I'm thinking of something like Barry or Breaking Bad, even though both of those have an ongoing storyline and they progress and they get bigger and bigger, and each episode is either Breaking Bad does a lot of this, like I just rewatched the whole series, and it does a lot of this setting up things. Everything that is essentially paid off in the finale or in whatever the penultimate episode of the season is, it's all set up earlier. And they have a lot of, they really dig in and show things. Like if they're going to show, I don't know, how do they build this, this meth lab thing? They do a whole 15-minute sequence showing them actually building it. Like they really dig in to the nitty gritty of these things. And you just kind of get, enveloped in that world. But the thing that keeps the driving force is it's the characters. It's it's set up, reminder, payoff for everything. Yeah. We know the characters. Here's a situation. It seems what we know about the characters so far, what we know about the situation, there's no way they're going to get out of this. And then they get out of it. And you're like, it just keeps happening over and over. You're like, how are they going to get out of it this time? And that becomes exciting. That becomes thrilling because they're always in danger, and there is stakes because you see other people have stakes, and even main characters that you come to like, there's stakes. But you always have this kind of home base of stuff that you come back to. So even though things develop over time, you kind of come back to something that you know. There has to be something that that kind of grabs you and hooks you and takes you on to the next thing. And
also for me, I think if it looks good, like I love that Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul starts off with like a close-up of a flower or something, and then it just kind of like expands from a shot. Or when they're talking, you just see that it's half of them talking, and then there's a table showing like their reflections on it or something, Right. And that's great cinematography, but you're also talking about Smiling Friends definitely has its own style. And there's something to be said for style. I think really just having a point of view on something and just having an artistic point of view on something goes a long way. But then you have something like
Well, I mean, we reviewed Tuca and Birdie, or at least I did, the that first season, and I really liked the story, I guess. I liked the characters enough, but the comedy was not something that I almost never laughed in the show. And it's supposed to be, a comedy. It's supposed to be something that's kind of funny. And I recently watched, now that going off of the Bob's Burgers thing, I recently watched 2 episodes. I watched the pilot episode, and then I looked up the highest rated episode on IMDb and watch that one. That's something that I tend to do. I'll watch it until I'm like, I'm going to quit, and then I'll watch the best episode. That's what I did with BoJack. That's why I continued watching BoJack, because I hated the pilot. And then I watched whatever they said was like the best episode. And I was like, oh, if this is where this is going, I like it. So I did that recently with The Great North, which is, I don't know how you pronounce it, the 2 sisters that work on Bob's Burgers, Molyneux?
Oh, I can't help you
Molyneux?
Writers?
Let me... yes, they do writing, but they do other things as well. Let me just... Molyneux. Wendy and Lizzie. Molyneux? I don't know. Anyway, so I watched that, and I can see how people would like it, but the comedy doesn't ring for me. And it does this thing that I particularly don't like in shows, which is every time someone says something, there's kind of a walk around the table joke where it's like a ring around the rosy. Like every time, like imagine you're going up to sit at a table. That's your end point. And you go up to sit around the table and you have to walk around the table once first before you sit down. That's kind of how I imagine these jokes. I'm trying to think of an example, but let's say the idea is you have to introduce that this person gets nervous in front of this other person, right? Something like that. Then they might say something like, there's Diana. Don't do what you normally do when you get nervous and puke up all over your pants and your shoes and your feet, because I have to clean it up next time. That's presented as like a joke or inside kind of like a jokey way of saying things. So I don't know, my brain is hearing it and going, is this supposed to be a joke or is this supposed to be a setup, right? And then obviously eventually they end up talking, and then the person ends up throwing up on their pants and shoes and stuff like that. Now that would be funny, but then you have someone else that says, oh no, you did it. You threw up in your pants and your shoes and everything, and now I'm going to have to clean it up. And like, yeah, I know you said that earlier.
Yeah.
When that whole thing happened. It's just this long kind of, and every time there is an interaction with anything, or anytime there's a setup of anything, it's like, oh, we're going to have to go out in the snow. It's so cold that it makes my feet feel like my butt when I get into bed because it's very cold. It's these non-jokes that just kind of, and I remember watching that, I was thinking, is this the way that it is in Bob's Burgers? And then I went back and I watched Bob's Burgers, and no, sure enough, it's not. Every line, it's much more efficient there. Every line is in itself introducing either something about the character themselves or a setup to introduce something about one of the other characters or a situation. Like it is, to use my metaphor, they go up and they sit down.
Yeah.
That's what they do. They don't lollygag. They don't diddle doddle. They don't pish posh. They just sit down.
Yeah. I was trying to think of more.
I know. So that's just a thing for me. So I think that some of it, sure, there's style, there's comedy, there's obviously it has to appeal to you in a certain way. But I think that there have been shows that we have seen on Netflix and that we have watched that we have not wanted to continue watching. But I might be reminded to continue watching if I were told that there's a new season coming out, because I don't usually know a new season's coming out until it's already out.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening, because I think this is the bigger aspect, when Disenchantment came out, or when the new season of Castlevania came out, I don't know that until I open up Netflix and it says new episodes. Now, if I'm not mentally prepared in the way to watch those new episodes, I might go, not tonight. And then I switch to something else. And that is what starts to program my brain to skip it. Because I loved Russian Doll, the first season. And I knew Russian Doll season 2 was coming out. Season 2 comes out. It didn't get great reviews or anything like that, but I was going to watch it. But I kept skipping it. And now I'm just used to skipping it. I'm just used to seeing it and not clicking on it. And I think that almost in a way has like trained me to skip a lot of these shows that I would have normally clicked on or watched, or if it was on a block on TV, I would turn on and I would let it play, just see like, oh yeah, I heard about this show. I'll just check it out. You know, that's why having a lead in is so important. So you have like Family Guy, you mentioned. Like the only reason I watched Family Guy is because it came on after The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Right. And I watched that, and you know, I thought it was pretty funny, and I watched it until it was canceled, and then it came back and it was never funny again. I'm kidding. I'm just making fun of you because no, I mean, Family Guy does have a lot of really great stuff, but it was the same thing with Futurama as well. You know, the only reason I watched it is because it came on after The Simpsons.
Yeah.
But I watch a lot of these first seasons of Netflix series, and I think maybe now that we're talking about that, I think that's why. I'll watch the first season because the first season may have a push, or I may know about the first season before it comes out. Then it's dropped, then I watch it. But once that happens, I don't know when the second season's coming out until it happens, and then I'm just used to skipping it.
Yeah. I know there's also one show that came out that I said I wanted to watch, and it was like a cat and a dog, and like it was kind of like a game that you have to choose your own kind of thing that happens.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It was a choose your own adventure thing.
That was something I said I was going to watch, and then I didn't even see it on the choices on Netflix. And
Cat Burglar.
Yeah. I've only seen it through posts on Twitter about it.
Right.
Or, you know, people who might have worked on it.
So, Inside Job. Right?
Yeah.
I saw it. Looks well animated. It like looks good. I don't know about the comedy. I don't know anything, but the only time I ever hear anything about Inside Job is, you know, obviously it's on Netflix, but there's not like, I guess there's not really commercials or really advertisements very much on Netflix. You know, maybe there should be a place that's like, you know, where you can go to see what's upcoming, and where you could see some featurettes of some stuff, or you could see something, you know, some things that you might happen upon elsewhere, because there's got to be some promotion for these things. Going back to that article, the promotion, they had said promotion typically doesn't begin until a month before shows premiere, and there's no consumer product releases or promotional tie-ins, right? That's another thing that they don't have. So I think the example was like, you're never going to see a Netflix thing like at a McDonald's Happy Meal or something like that. They can't do that kind of thing. And Netflix apparently said that, well, they operate on word of mouth. Word of mouth is the best advertising, and they'll tell people like word of mouth is the best advertising. Yeah. But if you're dealing with like a kid's show, there's no word of mouth. Kids don't go to the water cooler and like talk about their favorite show. Like I'm wearing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles shirt on right now. I didn't really talk about it at school. I had a lunchbox, you know what I mean? Or, you know, you'd have a shirt or a backpack or something like that. Or you'd have, you know, the game, you'd talk about the video game. But you wouldn't go into school and talk about the episodes of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. You know, there'd be toys. You talk about the toys, or, and I guess the same thing goes for like, you know, even I guess the Simpsons when we were real young. you didn't really talk about it. Like if you were hanging out at a friend's house, you would watch it, or if it may come up, you might like say how much you love it because this, funny thing or whatever.
You would talk about
talking
moments,
about the show,
not the actual episode
Yeah, exactly.
itself, but like, yeah, just like, oh, that's like that Simpsons joke or something.
Exactly. And that's really something that happened even when we were a bit older. So some of that, the word of mouth thing is not something that you can really pull the lever on either. And apparently on the official Netflix shop, there isn't a single kids and family animated series represented, which is crazy.
Wow.
The fact that there's no like lunchbox, and I haven't looked this up, but I would assume that means that there's no lunchbox for something like Disenchantment or Hilda, or I don't imagine one would be for Big Mouth, but Arcane, Centaur World, stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's no. That's a massive thing to not
Now, do you
be able to.
Do you think the
tap into
the pandemic not being so much of an issue anymore kind of we had our kind of glory days during the pandemic because there was not a lot of live action stuff.
Well, they started the push. Sorry to cut you off. They started the push before the pandemic into the animation realm. So maybe,
as far as like viewers, go.
What it did. I don't know. I don't think so. I actually don't think that viewers felt much of a difference between. I think the only thing that viewers really felt was maybe an extra delay of a show, or more likely movies, theater. Like that's probably the only. I don't know how you felt, but I didn't really feel much of a difference on the consumer end of things.
Yeah.
I know from experience that obviously animation is has a lot more push now in entertainment, but from a consumer end, I didn't really feel that. Yeah, I'm just trying to look at some of these shows. There's Big Mouth. We said Big Mouth. There's Human Resource. I think Big Mouth, the reason that one and BoJack is so successful. So BoJack is so successful, I think, because that kind of fit that realm of, first of all, weird. It would have some weird things. Had a kind of a unique look. The voice acting is great. I think that's really, really important. Also, let's not underestimate that. You have to listen to these people voice acting is incredibly important in animation.
Yeah.
And the voices are fun. And the animation's good. The style is unique. So I think that has a lot of cachet with it as well. The writing is good. The characters have a bit of depth to them. I think that there's something about paying off on when you pay attention to how characters interact with other characters, or when you pay attention to, this is how they felt last time they were faced with something similar. And then you're rewarded next time they face something similar with maybe a tiny little glimpse of growth. And you feel like, if you like the characters, you feel good for them. When they fail, you feel bad for them. It's going along with them with that ride, but also not taking itself too seriously. The other thing about BoJack is that it has that thing where it's just kind of, you're revisiting the same place over and over. But the biggest thing to me is I knew when a new season was coming out. I don't know why. I don't know what the difference was or how they were presenting it, but when there was a new season of BoJack coming out, I knew that. I don't know that for a lot of these other shows.
Yeah.
And Big Mouth is another one. Big Mouth is very traditional kind of, that one could just be on Fox. You could just see it on Fox, right? I think they do stuff that's, can't really be on TV, or might not be able to be on TV, but it has a unique style to it. I don't think a lot of people really find it all that appealing, but appealing in a certain way. It's its own style, its own quirky thing. I actually feel like I look at it, I'm like, it's like the Real Monsters kind of.
Oh yeah, I can see that
design kind of thing. It just feels like that kind of thing is just kind of everyone's just a little bit ugly, and it kind of fits with that a little bit awkward, that the whole idea is that everyone's just a little awkward, feels a little ugly, and feels a little whatever.
Yeah.
And it deals with something. It's got a good hook to it. So, and the voice acting's fun. So I think that those things all tie together. But the other thing is that I know when a new season's coming out.
Oh, and actually, they doing like a human resource cartoon?
Yes. Now that one, I have not seen anything about. And I think that may just be a spin-off problem. I'm not sure. I don't know why that one is not something that I want to watch.
Yeah. I saw the trailer.
But
I think I'd rather probably watch that one, actually. I feel like it might be I guess I don't know, it made me think of like Monsters University a little bit. No, not Monsters University.
Sure.
It's just like
why University?
No, that's just wait, Monsters Inc. Yeah, there we go. But it's weird how like Disney Plus. I wonder also. If there's a new series, like Disney Plus is doing well because it's based on franchises. Oh my God, right. I can't say that are already existing. And do you think people are just like, I don't want to get to know this cartoon character? Because He-Man does all right, because it's He-Man, I think, right?
I actually think that it didn't really do, but I think that's another thing where if there's an existing IP, I think they get free advertising. I think that's the thing about IP is that when there's a new She-Ra, people know when the new She-Ra series is coming out because people talk about it because it's She-Ra. Oh, there's a new She-Ra series coming out. But you have something like here's a series that I just ran into, Chicago Party Ant. AUNT. That's apparently a series. Never heard of it.
Nope.
A Cuphead show. People knew about the Cuphead show because of the game.
Yeah.
But I think I had mentioned like the Cuphead show animation doesn't, to me, look like what I expected the Cuphead show to look like. I expected it to be closer to kind of like a Fleischer Studios kind of animation. This one feels a bit more, Spumco. It feels a bit more like people that worked on SpongeBob or people that worked on, Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
That's the way I felt about it. So it was Centaur World. How about that? That's a series that had come out.
I had no idea.
I have this thing here. Yeah, Megan Nicole Dong. Dominic Bessignano. He's an executive producer on Megan Nicole Dong's musical animated series Centaur World. Said Netflix is proud of its data. That was something where he was talking about the data that Netflix presents when they are basically saying if your show is going to get canceled. Usually when they're trying to figure out, are we having a season 2? Are they having a season 3? Are we getting renewed? Are we getting canceled? Netflix will usually send back some information, some data. Like, here are the amount of time, the amount of minutes that people watch. This is the amount of time that people dropped off mid-season, whatever they decide to share. And it always supports what their decision was. And their decision is to, cancel the show. And so there's a lot of people who have felt like it's staged data, which is a little bit more like cherry-picked data, because it's not completely open. It's more like they will present you with data and present you with numbers, which I think, in my opinion, it sounds like they're using numbers to soften the blow to make it seem more objective rather than subjective. It's kind of to take the pressure off of the executive shoulders who might, might need to cancel a show. They like, here's some data that will support our, opinion. Because whenever they push back against it and say, can we get some more information about this kind of thing, they don't really get it. Anyway, the point is I saw Centaur World. There's a totally new characters. That's something that could be something very successful. It looks like a series that would do pretty well on linear TV. I could see it having a whole bunch of toys and, like we said, lunchboxes and merchandise and possibly even a game, all sorts of stuff. And I think Centaur World is done now. I think it had its 2 seasons, and I don't think it's.
Oh wow,
I don't think
2
it's coming
seasons?
back. 2 seasons.
I've
yeah.
never heard of it. Well, I think I've.
Because it's also.
Now.
I mean, it's not. Yeah, but it's not. It may be one of those things where Netflix thinks it's not something that you would want to watch, so it doesn't present you with it. It tries to present you with only the things that you think you want to watch. But that's when you get inside of a circular bubble. It's not going to present you with something. Let's say, for instance, Netflix is starting a whole bunch of animated series, right? You might watch something like Centaur World, or maybe it will pay attention to if you start watching a lot of existing IPs. You start watching Boss Baby. You start watching Green Eggs and Ham. You start, clearly there's a baby in the house now. There's a kid in the house. Like Netflix probably goes, oh, this account has been watching a lot of this stuff now. Let's start pushing these other stuff. Let's start pushing Carmen Sandiego and those kinds of things. I was trying to think of other series, but that's all I got.
I thought There's a Baby in the House was a series.
There's a baby in the house.
And
Dear
he's
Liza,
a boss.
dear Liza. So I think that that could be part of the problem also with Netflix, is because it's one of the drawbacks to a streaming service is that you don't have channels where you could just see what's on and you just watch it and it's on and this is presented to you or not. Where I think we're kind of entering a place now where I love Shudder's channels, where there's like 3 channels. There's like classics, but slashics. There you go. It came from Shudder. There's you just kind of go to those channels and whatever it has decided to present to you, that's what's playing. And you can come into it part way in, or you can decide to watch it from the beginning because it's part of their, part of their thing. And I think that more streaming services should do that. They should have just channels that you can go to and just, start watching something. That's why I like YouTube TV. I go to YouTube TV and I start going through. Sometimes I actually look for something that's on to inspire me to go to a streaming service to watch it. So like I'll go through and I'll say like, oh, Star Trek is on. I'll go over to Paramount Plus and I'll watch it without ads, or without commercials. So sometimes I'll just use it for that. And if you could just build that into the system, I think Netflix might need something like that, because I think they're losing a lot of that that natural advertising that just comes with wandering into something.
Yeah. There's something really nice. Like I went to my folks' house the other day and I was just flipping through channels, and I was like, because they still have cable and pay $1 million for it. And I'm just flipping through channels. It was kind of nice to just kind of stumble upon things. And I think I do that better than, searching for stuff. And I think that's why I look at YouTube mostly, because, I'm just looking for something that's like short for what I'm doing at the moment, Right.
But if you're looking for, okay, anthologies, right? Yeah. Love, Death, and Robots.
Yeah.
Those are shorts. Have you seen every Love, Death, and Robot? Have you seen every?
I have not.
Short.
I watched a little bit of season 2.
So why?
Because I didn't subscribe like I would on YouTube, And then YouTube would be like, there's a new video. So if Netflix says,
there you go.
Yeah.
A feed. Having a feed that's there. Like, this is something that I like. Present me with a feed. You can say, like, here are some things that I like. I tend to like these things. Google TV tends to do that as well, where like every once in a while, I'll just open up the thing and it will just give me a whole bunch of titles that it thinks I may have seen for me to rate and review, or say skip it, or say, say I like it, I like it, I didn't like it, skip it as in I haven't seen it, or put it on my watch list as
I like it,
I want to see it,
I love it, I want some more of it.
I want some more of it. Exactly. I tried so hard. I just can't rise above it. Yeah, that kind of thing could help out. I mean, none of this really matters because Netflix is not going to take our opinions. But there is an interesting thing. You have something like Inside Job is something that I would normally watch. I would normally want to watch. But I haven't, because there's nothing that is propelling me to do that. I think when you upload an entire season of something, it's really great for a lot of reasons. You can just, click on it and just watch it all the way through. You can binge watch it. And some things are great for binge watching. But you end up with that the Stranger Things problem. You ever seen that, where whenever Stranger Things releases a new season, it's like the mentions or the searches or whatever, I guess it's mentions on Twitter or whatever, like spike. They're like, it's like the most popular thing in the world for like a month. And then nobody talks about it at all between between seasons. But for that month, it is the most watched thing. Like, everybody sees it. But then it's gone from conversation until the next season comes out. So that can really benefit you in some ways. And I saw something recently. I can't remember what it was now. It was a YouTube video. It was one of those like explainer things. Again, on my feed. And it was someone talking about, you know what? It might have been Captain Midnight. I watched a couple of his videos and I subscribed, and I'd say about half of them I watch. Half of them are like very pop culture based. I'm sure that's where he gets most of his views from. But this one was kind of like, it was like a Netflix problem. It was the issue of like dropping something and then having something like, I don't know if maybe you talked about Barry, maybe you talked about Game of Thrones. I'm trying to think of, no, you know what? Maybe it was Breaking Bad, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. But just something that releases on a week-to-week basis, something that kind of keeps it in the conversation. Severance, I think, was also brought up. That was a great show on Apple TV. And I had appointment viewing, like every... I don't remember if it was like Friday or something. It was like every Friday. It was like, there's a new episode. New episode's coming out. And you'd make sure to open up Apple TV and go to the thing and watch it. There's a new episode of Severance now to stay up on it. So there is something to that timed release thing. I know some people get like really annoyed at the timed release thing, but I think that there's value in it. The big problem is that Netflix has now just become this dumping ground. It's just something that, like, you hear, the Cuphead show is going to be on Netflix. Oh, that's cool. That's so exciting. But then when it finally premieres and the entire season is up there at once, I'm like, wow, I'm not really ready to get into this whole thing right now. Let me skip it and go to the next thing. And then I've just gone through months of skipping it.
Yeah.
I guess, like... So I haven't seen it. I haven't watched it just because it's there. It's on my list, but there's a ton of things on my list that I never go back to.
Yeah, and I like the episodes I saw, and they were quick, and it made me want to draw. It made me want to animate some fun stuff. But it's just one of those things where it's just like you keep telling yourself, I'll go back, and then it just kind of like you never do. But I will go back.
So how let's say not Netflix. Netflix is what it is, right? Let's say you're dealing with this, you're creating a show. You're dealing with this idea that it's only going to be promoted like you're only going to announce the show 1 month before it comes out. And they're going to drop the whole season all at once. And so a lot of it is going to be, you have to do your own promotion. The big thing is, how do you make a show that is going to make people going to want to watch it from the get-go? Like what are the things that make you click on it? What are the things that actually make you click on a show on Netflix to watch it? And the other thing is, once they see an episode, what is going to make you continue watching that series on Netflix, considering it's all dropped, it's all on there? What is going to remind you to come back and watch this thing?
I think social media. If you're keeping the social media presence, maybe might help.
Well, social media, I mean, that's obviously, we're talking taking you have to have a following in order to get people to watch it. Then you're being your own advertiser. Now you're just fixing the advertising problem by advertising in another way, right? Like when you finally watch a show, what would make you continue watching it? Like, think about any show on Netflix that you have seen and continued watching. You love Death and Robots,
I just finished Ozark.
But I guess not really. Okay, okay, that's fine. That's a show. That's fine.
Yeah. But like I said, yeah, it was a team effort. I was watching it with someone else, so maybe I think all right. So you're saying as if I had a show and I was trying to like get people to watch.
Yep, exactly. Yep.
Oh man,
I'm saying we have a show.
Yeah.
And it's been picked up by Netflix. What can you do? What can you build into your show that is going to hopefully counteract the negative effect of Netflix only introducing that it exists 1 month before? So I think we've introduced two problems. One is that not knowing that the show exists until 1 month before. Like, basically, we don't know it exists until it is dropped. All of a sudden, boom, there it is on Netflix. What is going to make you click on it, right? I've never heard about it before.
Yeah.
There it is, staring me in the face. What makes me click on it? And then the second thing is, when I click on it and when I watch it, what is going to make me continue to watch it, as opposed to go, all right, that was fun, and then go away and never come back?
I would say maybe each episode is completely different. If it's animated series, each episode is another kind. It's the same characters, but in a different animated form, maybe.
Do you remember when we were talking about pitches? Rob and I got together recently. We came up with a whole bunch of pitches and stuff. One of my ideas, now that I'm saying this on the podcast, you can't steal my crap. But honestly, it would be very difficult to do it. You'd have to get a lot of money. This would cost a lot of money to do it. But each episode introduces a new animation style or a different animation style. It's same characters, but they're going to different animation styles.
Yeah.
What's that?
I knew I heard that somewhere.
that was my pitch. Yeah, that was my pitch. But the problem with the pitch is that obviously you need to. It basically what ends up becoming a series, but by way of kind of anthology. It's like it's one story that is told with your characters, but whatever the metric, however you build it in, doesn't really matter. So I'm not going to say what my idea was because hey, this is the concept. The concept is like what would make it interesting to click, to go from one episode to the next, and that is different animation styles. The problem is, the first animation style has to be the one to grab them, has to be the one to bring them in. And if you have an animation style that is unappealing to someone, they might want to skip that episode, right? And that might be tricky. That might not work. It could, but yeah, the idea that
Oh.
You're introducing something new and unique, but also something familiar. Sure. Something that is going to continue making you want to.
Well, I'll give you an example of something
There's got to be
that was going to be a series, and then it was. I don't know what's going on. Maybe it's still on the back burner. But Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. That YouTube series. I think if something like that, I think I would keep watching to see where it goes with the characters.
So that's like a mini series.
Yeah.
How would you make a series? Like, let's say you're making well, you said Family Guy. Let's say you're making a Family Guy. I was going to say Bob's Burgers, but you said Family Guy is what you like. So, like, let's say you're making that for Netflix.
I would make...
I'm seeing a lot of shows on here. I'm seeing, like, F is for Family and, like, stuff like that. Paradise PD. All these Hoops. All these shows.
I would do Centaur World the real way, where it should be actual centaurs as a family, and no, but then that's kind of going like that's kind of sounded like Zebras in America, which was the
right
Freddy Got Fingered cartoon. But I think it has to be weird. I think for me, I'm just saying it has to be something kind of really bizarre, and I don't know if people are still associating all types of animation where it's for kids or it's just gross adult stuff. I think a lot of animated adult stuff is still in that like early 2000s gross out phase where it has to be kind of gross or insulting, and the stuff that is more for like, you know, that's not that is just kind of boring adventure kind of stuff, you know?
You know, it's funny. I'm looking through all these series, and I've seen She-Ra, Arcane. There's a Fast and Furious Spy Racers, Last Kids on Earth, Pacific Rim, The Black, Cuphead Show, Angry Birds, Masters of the Universe Revelation, Carmen Sandiego, Disenchantment, Hoops, Inside Job, F is for Family, Paradise PD, Tuca and Birdie, Big Mouth. I'm looking through all of these, and there is one that made me want to click on it to see what it was about. One. Independent of knowing anything about it, that I just clicked on it when it actually came out. Do you know which one it is?
Definitely not Fast and Furious.
No.
No.
I'll just tell you.
Yeah.
It was Tuca and Birdie.
Oh, okay.
Now,
I was
the
going to say that,
reason...
but I thought you saw it already, so...
No, I did. But what I mean is when it came out, it's the one that I wanted to click on before like I knew anything about it. The reason is because as I'm looking through all these, this is going to sound real bad, especially for an animation podcast, and I want to get your thoughts on this. The other one that made me want to click on it as I'm looking down is Love, Death, and Robots. Let me share my screen real quick. Let me just show you what these things look like. And anyone can go on, just look up animated series Netflix on Google, and it should give you a bunch of options. You could just click like more information or whatever, and just look at the images that they have. Now, as I'm clicking through, and you see these series, Q-Force and Castlevania, F is for Family, Human Resources, whatever. All these Disenchantment, Inside Job in particular, Hoops, they look like nice illustrations. I mean, Inside Job looks like a nice illustration. F is for Family. You know, I see that. Hoops, I see the style there. It's, you know, one guy staring at the, you know, whatever. I don't know who it is. Even Paradise PD up here as well. They look well put together, but they look familiar in a way. It's and anything like this, I think Inside Job is probably the most curious one to me, because that looks like a really solid illustration. If the show looked like that, it would look beautiful.
Yeah.
Doesn't make me want to click on it. And that is that almost hurts me that I don't want to click on this. But I have to be honest. I think it's because I'm looking at Tuca and Birdie and just look, the designs are strange. They're interesting. They're kind of weird. The legs are, kind of tubes. It's not. I look at Hoops and I look at F is for Family, and they look like they're made from the same company, right? Yeah. Paradise PD. All these kind of look very similar. Inside Job looks like a solid illustration. Looks like the cover of a comic, like a all ages comic. Castlevania, it looks like, again, cover of a comic maybe. Trying to see some of these other ones, these other series down here. Arcane, I guess. It, again, looks good. I think Arcane makes me want to click it a little bit more than the other ones. But Love, Death, and Robots, you see, is just this. I love how they're always using Robert Valley's animated short. Like, they're always using his as the one to get people to click on it. It's always the hand-drawn stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one, Big Mouth, I mean, that would make me want to click on it. It looks different. It's a different thing. And not to say it has to be about the poster, but some of these just look very, very similar, very samey. I think I had the same issue with Mr. Peabody and Sherman Show. They look, I don't know. They look like I know what it is. Not necessarily the show, but just it looks almost too not put together. I don't know how to say this. Do you know what I'm trying to get at? Tuca and Birdie looked different. It looked unique. It looked like something I go like, I want to check it out.
Yeah,
I want to see what this is about. And it looked like from the poster.
I look at Paradise PD and I'm like, oh, that's Family Guy, and
right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I will say when Cuphead, before it came out, I kept checking to see when it was going to see it. And I saw like a picture of it, and they were just like, "Oh, it's not airing until another time." And I was excited about it.
Right.
So I think I still have a little bit of excitement for Cuphead, the same as I do for like any kind of new Looney Tunes stuff.
Yeah.
But looking at this list, yeah, it's just. It's weird. There's nothing that I'm looking at here that makes me want to put on unless like I'm hanging out with somebody and we just kind of like need to watch something just to have on the background.
Right. So like Disenchantment is another one. I don't know if this is like the official poster, but it's just the main character sitting there kind of looking shocked, which all you get is the design. That's all you get. So I think there is something to be said about the poster, the featured image. That to me is a big deal on Netflix, is seeing that poster, because also they do this autoplay thing now where you rest over an image and it starts to autoplay. So I flip through real fast so it doesn't have time to load the video.
Yeah.
Because or I mute it and I just like click through it. So I don't want that. I just want to like see the stuff. So it actually makes me click through it much faster because I'm trying to go fast so that it doesn't activate the autoplay thing, which I know I can turn off, but I just haven't gotten around to it. I don't know if anyone else does that. But I think that might be something. That might be the design is it's almost like the better that it looks, the less I want to click on it. Not the better that it looks, but like the more it looks like an illustration, the more it makes me want to go like, I don't really, it feels Smiling Friends, right?
Mm.
We saw the first episode and I saw it specifically because it looked weird. It looked different. Yeah, I'll click on that. I'll check that out. It's just something that looks different, something that doesn't look.
Yeah, it's like when you're walking down the video store back in the day, and you're just looking at all the boxes. You pretty much just pay attention to the front cover. It's like, oh, this is good, and then you're very disappointed after you run it.
Right. So like that kind of thing. It's. I think it's actually opposite with movies because I'm looking at some of these, like Midnight Gospel, for instance, that would make me want to click on it. because it looks different. The reason I didn't click on it is because I know how stonery it is, and it's not really up my alley. But I will watch it because of like the animation and stuff. But I saw some clips, and I was just like, these are the kind of conversations that make me want to like plug up my ears and like walk away.
Yeah.
Like it's really just it's almost like, yeah, it's like Waking Life, right? So if I liked the animation of Waking Life, the story of Waking Life or the conversations that happen, it would make me not want to watch it because I just think it's so people thinking that they're being profound and just saying nothing. And you know, maybe Midnight Gospel's great. I don't know. It looks like it was a really fun thing to work on, but it is not appealing to me in particular. But I do think that it is one of those things that would make me want to click on it if it were, if it were more of like a story kind of thing, just because it's different. It looks different.
I liked the two that I watched. But that's just, that's another thing where I watched it and I don't know. I think something is like, those endorphins when you create something and you're kind of like, like it's not fully finished, but you sell someone and they're like, wow, that's great. Gets it like a huge praise. And then it's just like, oh, I got what I wanted. So I don't have to work on this thing anymore. I think that kind of happens where it's just like, oh, that was fun. But
just watching a couple of the episodes. Yeah, I get that. So yeah, I think the different thing, and then when you watch it, I think the thing that made me want to continue watching BoJack, which really is like, I think it's the show that I watched the most of, and I know that it was like the first show that they like came out with. I know, but I think that and Big Mouth, I think the reason that they're successful is because I do want to watch more episodes because they do a pretty good job of introducing the characters and saying who the characters are and rewarding me with paying attention to the character. And like, so when a new episode comes back, it's not that I want to watch the show. I want to see my friends. I want to see how's BoJack doing? How's Todd doing? How they, are good things going to happen, with them? Are they progressing well? That kind of thing. Yeah. You want to be with them again. That's where Bob's Burgers and that's where Futurama and that's, you have to have some hooks. You have to have some things that are different enough, but you also have to have something that makes me want to continue watching it because I like the people. I like the characters. That all goes together. The voice acting, the designs have to be kind of, interesting. Thing I like about Bob's Burgers is that, you get some like really fun designed characters, but the animation is there's a lot of like, dancing and stuff that happens in there. Sometimes there's a song and the songs are kind of funny. And, it just has this like, ooh, this little treat. Oh, that's fun. Is it? Let me just gobble up that little treat. But it's all surrounded by just fun interactions. And I'm just looking at the other shows. And I think that that's part of the problem is I don't really see that as much. Actually, one of the reasons I like the Dark Crystal series is because I liked the world and I liked living in the world and I really wanted to see more of it. So I was actually kind of sad when they decided not to do more.
Yeah, I think I kind of like that stuff, but I think I might like more of just like, this character died in this episode, but it's not a big deal. Like, and it does nothing to the story. It does nothing later on in the future. So maybe I don't like payoffs as much when it comes to...
Well, but that's also its own kind of thing. I mean, even just having some character pop up or having something just as you have to have some characters that are recurring.
Yeah.
But Aqua Teen Hunger Force, I mean, we both liked I think Aqua Teen Hunger Force fits that bill perfectly because, there was an ongoing storyline, I guess. But really, it was just characters. It's just it's just weird characters. Then they introduce some die, some don't, some come back. It was just weird stuff. You never knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
I think that's,
Do you think?
I think, in a weird way, I actually feel like Aqua Teen is probably a really good example of what I'm saying and what you're saying. Both.
Yeah.
It looks unique. It looks different. It was short form also, but each one of the episodes was like, it was different enough because it was introducing a lot of different characters, and they were always animated in a different style, a different way. In a weird way, it actually feels like Smiling Friends is kind of doing that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's unique. It's different, introducing different characters that are all animated and designed differently. And it does things that you're not really expecting.
Yeah, and it's enough to know their personalities and stuff, but it's a little more disposable, I think. And yeah, I feel. Do you think if like they just if there was just a strictly animated streaming service, would it do better? Like if Netflix just did
I think so.
Their own animation streaming services separately, you have to get. Do you think that would work?
I do think so, because unfortunately, and this is where we have to now acknowledge the elephant in the room, which is there are some people. Okay, let me try an analogy or a simile, I guess. We remember when we talked about vocal fry on the I had to explain what vocal fry was. Is that vocal fry that thing? Yeah. And there are people that are listening to the podcast right now who are just dying listening to that because they just can't handle it. It's just they just don't like it. Was it called misophonia? Is that what it is? Just they sensitive to sounds or whatever. Also chewing, swallowing sounds like that. They just can't handle it. Another good example. I do not like snot in shows and TV. And when they had a major character in the Dark Crystal show have like snot on him all the time, I couldn't handle it. I actually looked. I was like, oh my god, just get this over with. Yeah. I don't like it. There are people, and I have to acknowledge this. We all have to acknowledge this. There are people that feel that way about animation. It does not appeal at all. Any animation doesn't matter. And I think that CG, the reason why CG has stuck around and been as popular, it's not just about the production value. It's not just about the expense. It's not just about having the camera fly around and stuff. It really is. There are some people who just do not like what they would see as cartoons, like hand-drawn stuff. And it's not because they don't respect the animation. They don't respect the skill of animation. And it's not that they don't like illustrations, but there are people who just do not want to see illustrations move. And CG sometimes can get around that. There are people who will watch CG animation, but they will not watch hand-drawn animation. So it's not animation. It's not because they prefer CG animation. It's just because I don't really want to watch an animated thing, but if I have to, I guess I'll watch a CG one because it just, for some reason, appeals to them a little bit more. Maybe it's the lighting thing. That may be the connector, because no matter what you do, if you have really good lighting, if you have a really good lighting department or kind of realistic lighting, it feels like it's in the real world. It feels like toys that are moving around the real world. It's like a little bit closer. Yeah. This is all just hypothesis. But the reason why I think an animated streaming service would work is because there are people who specifically search out animation, who want to see animation, and they want to see they like the medium. They enjoy the medium, and they want to see various genres and various stories that are told, where in other streaming services, it's a little hard to get there because you have like the kid and family section that you can go to, and then you can go into the animation subsection or something, and you can go there. Or you can go to like adult animation. Sometimes they have anime. It's a little bit harder to find your way around it. If you definitely want animation as a genre, if there were an animation streaming service, then you could build it up around like mixed media, stop motion, CG, even like, realistic, realistic rendered CG, something like, your Lion King versus, the hand-drawn Lion King, or some like Monster House or something, which is CG and has a bit of motion capture in there. Like there's all these different ways you may be in the mood for one particular thing. I think that would be interesting. I think it would do well. Yeah. There's a lot of people who love animation. It's just, and on these other services, it's so hard to find sometimes what you're looking for.
Yeah. I think we should greenlight this. We should pitch this service. What will we name it?
Do you know any VCs? Because I don't.
No, it'll be hard to. Yeah. What would I call it? I'd call it layers. It's not really an animation term. No, never mind.
Right.
Frames.
I mean, oh sure. That's a good question. Because you don't want to name it something that is, you can't like do anything that evokes animation paper or invokes like, CG animation or stop motion animation. It has to be something that's like, a term that refers to animation as a whole.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but I guess, see, Persistence of Vision is already like a documentary, and that's like too long. That would be POV. Could be called POV. Could call. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, maybe
that's
you listening can comment.
You could literally just call it animation. Like that. The app could just be called animation. Right?
Sure.
I mean, why not?
Fanimation, where fans of animation go to.
No, because Fanimation is a thing. It's when fans do animation of something.
Yeah.
It's like fan art. I think that it's always interesting to talk about these things, to talk about the business side of stuff and how it kind of interacts and clashes with the creative side of things. I think to some extent, people are always trying to make the creative be something that people, obviously it's going to be something that people want to watch, but I feel like at least now, and I don't know, maybe this is just me. So I would be, this is why we're talking now. I feel like it would be interesting to see what other people think about it, because what I have discovered is that I think what appeals to me is when someone seems like they're doing something off of their own vision because they want to do it and it's their thing. This is a you joint, nobody else, right? Tuca and Birdie looked unique. BoJack looked unique, and funny enough, the thing that made them look unique is the thing that makes them look the same. Basically, the designs, right? And we've talked about her before, but the designs make you want to click on it. It's one of the reasons why Bob's Burgers. I like the designs. I like it. Think it's looks unique. And it made me want to watch it. But I will also say that a huge reason why I think that people watch that show, honestly, and I'm not joking, is H. John Benjamin. Yeah. The voice of Bob, who's, voice of Archer, but he has such a distinct voice. He's just a joy to listen to.
Yeah.
It's just as simple as that. There are some people who you just like listening to them. You just like their voice. And I think that if you can get a major voice actor who sounds distinctive enough, that's like, oh, I want to, that's a hook. That's something that people are going to want to, the voice acting is very, very important. Bad voice acting in animation is just it's a killer. It's so hard to get past because your animation needs to be stellar. And there are times when, even you can get, it's like a TV show, right? It's very rare that acting will save a bad script or, bad, I don't know, production value or something like that, where I can see really good acting in movies. TV is not necessarily where I need to see good acting. In TV, I want either a fun ongoing storyline. It doesn't even need to be fun. It just needs to be a rewarding ongoing storyline. Either it rewards me fun, or it rewards me interest and thrills, and or it rewards me mystery. It's got to reward me in some way, in order for me to keep coming back and watching it. Because otherwise, I'm like, oh well, that was cute. That's usually what you say, is you watch something and go, that was cute.
Yeah. And
then you never go back to it again. But when you have something like Bob's, or for you, Smiling Friends or something, you watch it and you feel good at the end of it. You feel like that was a good use of my time. I feel good about that. I liked that. I want more of that. I want more of these characters. I want more of whatever you're giving me. Breaking Bad was the same thing. It was, I see what you're doing. I see what you're playing with. It rewards me by paying attention. I had a lot of moments where I go, oh, because they're doing this, that, that kind of thing.
Yeah, there's a huge difference between Better Call Saul and I was at my folks' house and my dad put on FBI, I think it's called.
Oh, yeah.
Those kind of like cop dramas that are on like CBS or something like that, where it's just so like not interesting. And then you see the people on the computers and they're like, enhance that image, and it's, no one really talks like that. And stuff like Breaking Bad, where they just allow you to just kind of like follow them around a room or something. And the mood is different. Like the tone is different. And I think that's the same thing we're lacking right now, where it's just, we need a new kind of like tone for animation, I think, to get not only animators into it or just people who are just not into animation. I like to watch animation that I want to kind of replicate and stuff afterwards.
It's interesting. Do you think that what we are looking for is like prestige TV, but with animation? Like Game of Thrones, Breaking Bad, those kinds of things come up a lot. I guess you would call Sopranos also. I never watched Sopranos, but those kinds of series.
Yeah.
Are you talking stuff like that?
Yeah. And I think it's hard.
Let me see what happens when I look up when I look up prestige TV. And then there's also there's like Severance. I would also call it prestige. Prestige TV. Lost would be another one. I wonder if you could get that.
Maybe with
I don't see why not.
Live action with a cartoon character. No, because that we had what was that thing with Happy?
Right. Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
That's interesting. So a hybrid kind of thing.
Yeah. Imagine a Better Call Saul world with a cartoon character in it. All the
it is interesting because
the seriousness
like
of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but with a character like that, or even just kind of play it straight, just have animated characters in real worlds. That would
how would you? Okay, so like, I just looked up this thing and I saw Comiccon.com, Adult Animation Revolution, top movies and TV to get you hooked on adult animation. Let me just go down because I think these could be considered. At least close to prestige TV. There's Arcane, which is this. I don't know if you saw it, but it like it looks amazing. Like the animation looks amazing. It's CG, but it has this kind of I mean, I don't know if you'd call it a filter. It's however it renders. It has this painterly style to it.
Kinda.
It's not well. I guess. I guess so. But yeah, then there's a lot of like hand drawn effects, like all those like spirals and things. Anyway, so that looks like it could be prestige TV, but I don't know anything about the story. The big thing about prestige TV is the story has to really pull it along.
Yeah.
Then there's Genndy Tartakovsky's Primal, which I can't believe I didn't even mention this, but Primal, I ate that up.
Same.
I ate that up. I loved it. And I thought, and it got me excited about animation. I thought it made me want to click it. It made me want to watch it. I think Primal it has a hook. You know, there's no dialogue. Primal's a great example of something that
I wanted to see what happens next. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, exactly. And that one actually goes against what I was saying on the series aspect, which is having a home base where you come back to. Because there is no home base. The whole idea is that he's traveling around. He's going, but it's like a boy and his dog kind of thing. There's this relationship at the center of it.
Yeah.
So you definitely you're rewarded about the relationship. There's a very, and then this episode that I'm looking at, there's the preview episode they have is that woolly mammoth one, where it's just this old woolly mammoth and they're fighting it and. You feel so bad for it, but you also know that our characters like have to do this kind of thing, and it's just it's built into the story. It rewards you for paying attention to their characters and no dialogue.
Yeah. Now,
Castlevania.
I just don't like the style.
So exactly. I think that's it. I think that the action was good. I think the animation was fine. I think if you keep the action but you make the animation style different, but then it wouldn't look like the games. I think it's supposed to look like, like the Symphony of Night kind of games.
Like if there was a series in the Akira style and the design,
sure,
I totally watched that.
Sure. Animated action is always something that I remember watching Spectacular Spider-Man. I saw that on TV and I loved it. I thought it was really good. I thought the action in Spectacular Spider-Man was really, really good. And it was fun. And the voice acting was good. Then there's Love, Death, and Robots. We already talked about that. That's probably, that would be pretty close to prestige TV, as an anthology,
Yeah.
Devilman Crybaby. I actually don't know this one. It looks anime, possibly.
That was my AOL screen name.
Sure. It looks different.
Yeah. Oh, Spawn the animated series. Maybe something like that coming back.
Man, we have brought up Spawn the animated series so much. Like on the show over the years, I believe that we brought it up a bunch. And I think it really is just like, I think Love, Death, and Robots is kind of Spawn the animated series, but in anthology form, it's just...
Or what was going to be...
Throw in some boobs.
What was going to be a project, The Goon. I watched that.
Oh, yeah. Got to have that good design. Yeah, having just I think, yes, the characters are very important. You got to have good voice actors. You got to have good, solid characters that you want to live with. You want to see them, those two characters together. I think would be kind of fun to watch, and the hijinks that they get in, whatever. I'm looking at. I guess these are movies. The Breadwinner, Another Day of Life. Anomalisa. Remember Anomalisa?
Oh, yeah. That was good.
Yeah. Belladonna of Sadness. This is experimental or surreal. Okay. Midnight Gospel. MFKZ.
Oh,
I don't
I've
know
seen
what that
this.
is. Have you watched it?
Yeah. I don't remember most
Is
of
it good?
But yeah, it's fun. It's see, that's the thing. It's fun to look at too. I like the designs.
You know what? I'm looking at this now, and yeah, I might want to watch this. I'll mark that down for later. Bird Boy. I mean, it's cute, and yeah, it looks good. But this also looks like a movie. These are all movies, I'm assuming. Isle of Dogs, Lost My Body.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think in the series, I do think Arcane does look interesting. That's probably pretty close to prestige TV. I just don't know that. I guess if you did like a Game of Thrones kind of thing, it would need to, look something like that.
I think to answer your question last, if I was trying to pitch something, it would be a little more of like, not Cool World Ralph Bakshi, but like more of like, hey, good looking, that kind of stuff. Like, I think a gritty world, but they're cartoony looking, and there's an actual threat in things, and based on more of a reality, but also having fun animated elements, I think is what I would pitch.
Yeah. Yeah, and also seeing this, it does. I think that when I went back to the series that I was looking at earlier, I mean, something like, Tuca and Birdie has these two characters. You got to like these two characters. You got to like two characters that are, together. Arcane, I don't know anything about them. Disenchantment, I think, when it was successful is because of the characters. Big Mouth, obviously. BoJack, same type of deal. You got to have some characters that are appealing from the get-go. You want to see more of them. You want to hang out with them. You want to, and I think that good voice acting pulls that in. Good designs will carry you a decent amount of way. That quote, what was it? Jerry Seinfeld said, like, they'll give you 5 minutes, I don't even know if it was 5 minutes. Maybe he said they'll give you 1 minute. I don't know. He always changes the minute. But if they know you, when you get up on stage, you have to be funny. They'll only give you a few minutes before, if they know you, they'll give you a few minutes to be nice. And then after that, you got to be funny. Otherwise, they'll boo you off just like everyone else.
Yeah.
And I think that each one of these facets, voice acting, design, characterization, characters, setting, story, all these things are all like, those give you one extra minute, to get through.
Yeah.
I recently went through and I was looking at a bunch of pilots, and it did seem like a lot of the pilots, they basically start with kind of like an animated short before you get to like the title sequence. So you have to like set up like what's going on and make you want to watch it, make you want to get to the rest of it, a lot the way that a movie does. I think there's something there. When I'm looking at these series, to wrap it up, I think the biggest problem to me is that a lot of these series look like they are either things that I've seen before, type-wise, or they're things that I just assume are on TV. Like, I just assume are like I'm looking at Hoops. Hoops, I know I'm coming down on it a lot, but it just like, it looks like, it doesn't. Netflix is something that if they're not going to promote it and they're not going to put it in front of you, like, you have to click it. You have to actually click it to watch it. There's no lead in. There's nothing, watch this on Fox at 8:00 and then 8:30 Hoops comes on. If you're cooking dinner or something like that and you don't turn it off, you watch Hoops,
Yeah.
Like, it's not, you don't get people that way. You have to click on it to watch it. And this feels like something that I would watch if I already knew that I liked the characters and that I knew about it. It wouldn't necessarily make me watch it, like,
Yeah.
click on it.
or like the
And unfortunately, same as Inside Job. Inside Job, I think, feels that the poster somehow feels too well put together illustratively, which to me is boring. And I'm sure it's great. And actually, after I get off, I'm going to watch an episode because I feel bad now that I've said that. Because I should want to watch things that look good, especially in animation. I mean, they put a lot of work into it. It seems like the show would be something that would be kind of fun. But there's just something. It's like the Lower Decks, Star Trek Lower Decks. It's like it can look good, but there's something about it that just feels too, similar to other.
Do you think Inside Job looks a little like Rick and Morty?
I guess a little bit, but I mean, yeah, I guess a little bit. It's that kind of style. But remember, I mean, I recently rewatched, I think it was like 4 or 5 seasons of Archer. And Archer's another one of those where it came out and it just looked different. It didn't necessarily, people always talk about the animation not being good, but the animation was good for the style that they had. It worked for exactly the style that they had.
Yeah.
And whenever they needed to do any action, they did that. And there was some pretty good, fun, hand-drawn animation stuff in Aqua Teen Hunger Force too. You use what you have. You have to start with a design style, an aesthetic, and then the movement, the visual language of your movement has to work within that style. But the style is the thing that's supposed to bring people in. It's supposed to establish your world, make people want to click on it.
Yeah. Like, what if you got Archer and then you mixed it with South Park?
Oh, I see what you're doing. Some decisions are not purely creative. Let's just say that. But I mean, even as we're talking now, I mean, this isn't really creative decisions. This is like, how do you get people to watch your show? Because really, when it all comes down to it, if you are making a show, it's because you are a storyteller and you want to tell a story. You want to, make something to say something to the world. You want, even if it's just like, these are the things that I enjoy. I want to transfer this thing that I enjoy from my head to your head and make you feel good. Even if it's just that, even if it's not telling a story, basically that's it. You tell a story to make people laugh, or you tell a story to make people think, or you tell a story to transfer your life experience to, to someone else. There's a lot of reasons why you can do it. But usually when someone is an animator and they say, I just want to be an animator, I want to work on a fun project, because they want to strictly not tell stories, but they want to tell maybe little stories, like little acting stories. They want to act. They want to help tell a story that someone else is telling, but by way of this thing that I really love. I love the mechanics of this, I love the artistry of this. So, I mean, when you're talking about making a show, or you're talking about something like Netflix and, how it all started, what's going on with Netflix, that's it. The problem is that you can't just dump a bunch of money, and you can't just you have to let the creators make the things that they want to make, and then promote them and put them in front of people.
Yeah.
You can't just, and I don't know how F is for Family, Paradise PD, Hoops, these shows that look very similar, at least on this lineup. I don't know. Maybe whoever pitched this, maybe it was a real thing that they really wanted to say. Maybe it was just a funny idea that they had. I don't know how it started, but you can't. The things that really do something for animation are something like Tuca and Birdie. They are something like BoJack. I think even Disenchantment had something at the core of it. I think it was good, but
yeah, I think if it's something that you can get for free on TV, if it looks like something you can get for free, I think that's a big thing.
Good point.
People are just like, oh, that looks like something that's on Fox or something. Why would I What I want
Good
to see
point.
here.
And especially if it reminds you of something that you just kind of like put on,
Yeah.
you know, like Hoops doesn't look like something that I am going to watch and get it doesn't look like it's going to become my new favorite show, I guess.
Yeah.
Is
It looks like a TBS
to me like
show.
even if it's very funny, my point is that even if it is very funny, the most I'm going to get out of it is I'm going to find it pretty funny. But if it were that funny, other people that I know would have told me. So now basically what I'm doing is, because it doesn't make me want to click on it because it feels like something I've seen before, I'm assuming it's not the best version of it. And if I'm waiting for other people to tell me to watch it, and if nobody tells me to watch it, I'm going to go based on my judge a book by its cover, judge a TV show by its design, and go, I think I'll pass on that. Yeah. Whereas something like Tuca and Birdie, I might not even wait for someone to tell me if it's good or not. I might just click on it. Love, Death, and Robots, I might not even wait for someone to tell me. I just click on it.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I feel like now I kind of want to kind of go through the list and maybe give stuff a shot, but I am going to return to
Yes, I know. Talking about it does make me feel like and that's part of having this podcast is that, I don't know if people are going to agree or not. I think that there's something there. I mean, this is just obviously we're talking based on, we didn't plan this. We didn't even plan where the conversation exactly is going to go. It's funny because I brought up Bob's Burgers a lot. We didn't even talk about the movie, but Bob's Burgers movie's coming out soon, and I want to watch it, and I want to watch it in the theater, and I want to watch it in the theater because I like the show, and I want to see what they do, and I want to like. I actually want to. I like the animation. I like what I'm seeing. They're making it look like the show, but they're making it look, making the animation look better, the production value higher. And I kind of want to see, just like I saw the Simpsons movie in the theater, I want to have that experience of watching, kind of like watching the show, but a heightened version of it around a bunch of people who also like the show. And the reason I want to see it is because I want to see, my friends, the Belchers, up on the big screen. Exactly.
Like how The Simpsons started. The Simpsons movie on a big screen.
I want to close this out just by saying that yesterday I was looking for a movie to put on, and I just went to HBO like Last Chance to catch before it leaves, like May 31st, I guess. Both Sherlock movies, the Sherlock Holmes and Sherlock Holmes Shadows, whatever. I forget what the subtitle was for the second movie. I'm a big Sherlock fan. I like Sherlock Holmes. I like the stories. I listened to the radio play a lot when I went to and from work and to and from back from school. It was on in the evenings. But I listened to that because they replayed it on like a local station. I liked it. I like the older show. I like the movies because they made a few of them. I like the new BBC show. I never saw Elementary, but I heard it was fine. I liked Dr. House, MD, because it was basically Sherlock. I like stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I watched this one. It was Guy Ritchie. It's fine. But I put it on again to watch it. Do you know why?
Because you're a hardcore Sherlock fan.
True, I do like Sherlock, but the reason why I don't hate that movie, even though it doesn't give me what I usually like about Sherlock, is because I like Robert Downey Jr. as Sherlock and Jude Law as Dr. Watson. I like the two of them. They're fun. I like their versions of those characters, and I know there's a lot of people who didn't like Robert Downey Jr.'s version of Sherlock Holmes. There's a lot of different versions.
But his Dr. Dolittle was
for all of them. Oh, it's Dr. Dolittle. Yeah, chef's kiss. it's just fun. It's just fun to watch, and I just had a fun time just watching them. I didn't really care about the mystery, didn't really give me much because it doesn't really let you solve it. But I think that's that's the big thing to take away. I have to really like the characters. I'm seeing Avatar: The Last Airbender on this like list of shows, and I think the reason that people love that show so much is sure, the story, sure, there's some good fight scenes in there. The animation's good. It looked a bit different. It looked at least appealing to people at the time. It was a little different for the time, I think. But people really like the characters. They really like the characters. I think the thing, the main character and then the main villain guy for like the most of the series. Like, I think people really, really like those characters, and that's what kind of carries it through. I'll say that's what I really liked about She-Ra. If I were to go back and watch She-Ra, it's because I really liked the three of them.
Yeah.
You know. Well, and I liked Catra too. I don't know how much she's in the other ones, but yeah,
I think characters is really important.
Really important.
But if you do
That's
like
a very squeaky door.
yeah, we gotta get some oil for that. But as we're closing out, you said you like Sherlock.
Yeah.
I gotta. What if Will Ferrell played Sherlock?
Yeah, no. I was actually kind of not excited, but I guess a little excited about the idea of John C. Reilly as Watson.
Yeah.
And Will Ferrell as Sherlock. Sure, I was like, yeah, this seems like it could be fun, and I almost watched it. I watched Enola Holmes on Netflix. That's how much of a Sherlock fan I am. I did not see Holmes and Watson.
Yeah, I didn't see it either.
I heard it was. It wasn't just bad. I heard it was, like insultingly bad. That's what I heard.
See, I kind of like that stuff, but I haven't watched it.
Dumb and Dumberer.
Ooh, Dumb and Dumber characters in Sherlock. Man, all right. No, all right. Listen. This is gonna be a pain to edit, but I would say Dumb and Dumber characters in, like, you know how the Three Stooges was a different kind of movies. You know,
We've said this before. We've already said this.
did we?
Yes. Lloyd and
Harry.
Lloyd and Harry. Yes, Harry and Lloyd.
Yeah.
The two of them are like Abbott and Costello.
Yeah.
Right? That are it's Abbott and Costello in, it's it's Three Stooges in, it's yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that would be fun.
Let's greenlit that Netflix. Since you're getting rid of all your animation.
Well, not now, not anymore.
That's true.
Oh, you know what's funny? So sometimes we play this game of like recasting movies, and or like for now, and we came up with a new variation of that game, which is nightmare casting. It's who you think Hollywood would cast.
Oh, that's
in
a
a
good
movie.
one. Yeah.
It's really fun. It's really fun. It's so anyway. There's a fun variation on that theme. I'll leave you guys to play with that. Yep. I guess that's it. I mean, it's unfortunate what's going on with Netflix animation, but in a weird way, I feel like they had brought people in, and it was a big pie in the sky kind of thing. It was the money, the distribution. It's all going to be there. And I remember reading this thing a long time ago about it was the Norseman. It's a comedy kind of parody show that was. I mean, it already had a few seasons. Then I think it got distribution on Netflix, and the creator who I don't know, Norwegian, I guess. He like did this big campaign, this big push on social media to get people to like talk about it and get people to watch it and share it and everything, and did that in such a way that it actually like hacked Netflix's algorithm and forced, oh, this is like the most watched show today, and forced it in front of everyone. Like, oh, I'll click on that. And they clicked on it, and then boom, now it becomes like one of the more popular things. And then by way of that, they got like another season because he really pushed it. I saw a couple episodes, didn't really like it. But the point is that kind of thing is what needed to be done for live action stuff. And it sounds like it was no different for Netflix animation. But I think that there maybe was just this feeling like, finally we have a company that's like taking animation seriously. And we even talked about that. I don't remember the episode. I don't remember what we talked about, but I remember feeling like Netflix is really backing animation. They're really seeing the future of animation as being something, adult animation, kid animation, all types, really treating it as a medium. And it sounds like what they did basically was, instead of treating it like a medium, they did treat it like a subgenre of stuff. There's live action storytelling, and then there's animation storytelling.
Yeah.
And they either intermixed it in a way where you couldn't actually make a subgenre out of it. You couldn't actually make a subcategory out of it and say, this is the kind of thing I want. It's like some people hate found footage films. Well, that's a type of filmmaking style that's very valid. And sometimes people just don't want it. They just don't like it. But it doesn't mean that they hate all live action movies. They just don't like found footage. I mean, the same thing goes, I think, with various animation styles, but animation as a whole, there's just some things that people like and some things people don't. If they made it just a little bit easier to find, it might solve some of the problems. But I think people now making their way back to linear TV makes a bit more sense. I don't think we're ready yet to do the whole streaming thing. Streaming has to figure out how to combine the things that we like about linear TV into the stuff that we like about streaming.
Yeah.
So there has to be options. Sometimes I want to binge watch something, but sometimes I want you to drip feed it week by week. There has to be an understanding of when to do what. I don't think we're there yet.
Yeah. As far as name for animated streaming service?
Yes.
Tune.
Well, tune in.
I don't want to get
phrase.
I don't want to get too toony about it. But would it be spelled differently?
Tunes with a Z.
That's a good one. And make the two circles eyeballs.
Tuner.
Cell?
Cell. CEL?
Yeah.
Cell? Huh. Well, no, because then that favors
You're right.
that favors hand-drawn animation. Yeah. Also, tune is reductive because not everything is cartoons.
You're right. Well, I'll work on that. But till then, tune in for our next
Mate.
episode.
Just call it mate.
Nate?
Mate. We're mates of animation.
Sure.
Like, hello, mate.
Oh God.
Otherwise, you got to call it Annie.
That's true.
I think animation works.
Yeah.
Well, this was 2 hours. What do you think about that?
Yeah. So we're gonna review Boss
I mean,
Baby?
no.